highlight courage and bravery. These are two things that your athlete will need for the rest of their life. It's the best way to turn any loss into a win and foster a growth mindset. Going after anything hard, which is playing sports, means that you're courageous and brave. And we don't get less scared. There's always going to be fear, but we get more brave. And we should acknowledge the fact that our children are brave and courageous for stepping out on the field of play. Because there's a lot of scrutiny and there's a lot of pressure that comes with playing sports, no matter what age. And so we should absolutely be highlighting their courage and bravery, their courage to get better, their courage to go out and try new things. They're brave to get better, brave to talk to new players and be on new teams. All of these things are paramount virtues and values that is going to shape the rest of their life. And so we're trying to highlight these important characteristics, these important character traits, rather than overemphasize on their identity as an athlete. We are trying to broaden that identity of thinking about their identity as their repeated beingness. How are they being? Well, they're being courageous and brave and honest and thoughtful, and they're doing a lot of effort. Okay, I'm going to praise those things because then they're going to shape their identity through their values. And then we have first principles, we have core values. Then it's easier for our kids when they get into high school, college, or beyond to lean into those values and lead with their values through their words and actions. So we're going to highlight the values and characteristics that we love in them. Wow, you're trying really hard. That's amazing. You're brave to keep going out there. I love your courage. I love your tenacity. I love your resilience. You're so kind to your teammates. That's amazing. Those are things that we're trying to highlight because that has you foster a growth mindset, and that's how you think about moving on from a loss faster, but also being able to learn from that loss and then foster that growth mindset, knowing that we can always get better, we can always improve, thinking about the Tom Brady insight of being the best at getting better. That has nothing to do with results. Nothing to do with results. It has everything to do with what's in your control or your child's control, which is being the best at getting better. And that's the things that we're trying to highlight. That's the things we're trying to note. And my absolute favorite do, which I mentioned a little bit earlier, is this last one, which I'll end with. Do. I love watching you play. I love watching you compete. Does your athlete know that you love watching them play or compete? This is the number one thing you can tell your athlete after competition. It's so simple, yet so powerful. Again, do not turn the car ride into a coffin. There's no debrief. You're not a military operation, okay? It's just your kid playing a thing that he loves, hopefully that he or she loves still. And you reinforce that effort. You reinforce that competitive spirit by just saying, wow, I loved watching you compete today. Or, wow, I loved watching you play today. That's it. The conversation ends there. There doesn't need to be a this or that about this or about, oh my God, this hit, that play, your coach, this player, this blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter. You want to reinforce effort. You want to reinforce loving the process and loving the thing. You want to reinforce the values and the virtues that you want your kid to portray. And you want to reinforce being a great teammate. And the only thing that needs to be said after a game to make sure your child absolutely knows that you loved watching them play, because they're still looking for you for validation. They're young people. And we can validate them. We can boast and praise about their effort. We can highlight their courage and bravery by simply saying one statement after their competition. Yo, dude, I loved watching you compete today. You know what? I loved watching you play today.